Today on the show, we got a really, really cool guest from you, all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, flew out here. His name's Abi Gohar. You can find him at abigohar.com. He's at a couple other websites. I'm going to get him to you on the show, but look, he does 3 things, and we're going to break 2 of these down really big. Number 1, he does real estate, of course, which I think we all kind of do. Number 2, he does private equity, which is probably one of my favorite things of all time is private equity. And number 3, he does tech companies, okay? So he does real estate, private equity, and tech. We're gonna break all these down for you. I'm gonna ask him some detailed questions on how to accomplish this and how he became successful inside these companies. So again, you guys welcome Abi Gohar to the show. Abi, glad you're on the show, man.
Andrew, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Happy to have you on the show. And we actually known each other for
almost
coming on a decade now.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Long time.
And for those that don't know, we knew each other back in Atlanta.
Yep.
And you're still in Atlanta.
Still in the ATL.
The hot Atlanta. The hot Atlanta.
Man, those summers are so humid. I cannot stand it.
It is brutal, dude.
So
I mean, people, I'm in Utah right now, and I still live in Florida, but I come out here all the time, and it's amazing going from Florida, humidity, to Utah to do the show, and it's like, people don't understand humidity out here. It's 100 degrees, but like it's not 100 degrees.
No.
It's not real 100 degrees.
Right.
You know,
Right.
There's a difference,
it's the dry heat.
Yeah.
It's the dry heat. Yes.
But yeah, man. So we met in Atlanta, we were in the same markets, buy, fix, selling, building, developing in that area over there. And now I've branched off. You've branched off, of course, and you got into the tech world. You got into the private equity world. You got a podcast you do that you host, right? Think Realty Podcast. Before we get into all this different stuff, let me back up a little bit. I want to know a little bit about how was it like growing up, Abi? Was it rich family, poor family, middle class, highly educated, like they wanted you to go to college? Give me a 5-minute little rundown here. What was it like growing up, Abi, back in the day?
Man, those are some good times. Those are some good
pressure.
times. Seriously.
You forget those days, man.
Grew up in Portage, Michigan.
Okay.
Portage, Michigan, southwest side of Michigan, suburb of Kalamazoo.
So you got to be a fan.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm
Big Blue?
A huge Michigan fan.
Kalamazoo,
huge Lions fan.
Yeah.
Even though we suck every year, we go nowhere, but still a Lions fan.
I thought you guys were gonna break through on Jim Harbaugh, dude.
Oh man,
it just seems like it hasn't panned out, man.
You know what? Are we going to talk business? We're talking football. Come on, man.
Football,
you're killing
business,
me.
Dude. Football is business.
Killing me with the horror that is Michigan football right now. But you know what? We're making some changes.
I will tell you this.
I'm feeling good about that. So.
You know I'm an SEC fan.
Yep.
You know I'm an Alabama fan.
Yeah.
You know me and Eddie always talk the
always.
game. He's Ohio State.
Eddie and I have this entire Michigan Ohio State. I mean, yeah.
And
it's
I would
bad.
I would take Michigan every day of the week over Ohio State.
Yeah. Until recently, the last decade.
No.
We just haven't been able to.
I still take Michigan. I am not an Ohio State fan. You losing a bunch of probably viewers right now. Not that I don't respect them. It's more like a mutual respect. Then becomes hatred.
Or mutual disrespect. And then you're like, does the state even exist?
Yeah. Who
anymore?
are you guys?
Right. Like
drop the dude.
Yep, please.
Who are you?
Yeah, it's
drop
a word.
The.
Just please stop.
Yeah. So, so you grew up in Michigan, Kalamazoo area, Big Blue fan. Keep going.
Yeah, grew up middle class.
Okay.
On Thrasher Lane, which was when Atlanta had a hockey team. Was the name Atlanta Thrashers.
That made it like 2 years.
That was kind of
something to do with
the people
ice.
voted, and it was just such a terrible sports team.
Ice and Atlanta don't go together, bro.
No, not at all, ever. So yeah, man, grew up. My mom is a brilliant. She's like math, science.
Okay.
Learned everything from her. She has a master's degree, and my dad, PhD from Michigan in IOE, Industrial Operations Engineering. He graduated in '83. I was born in '84, and he's been a professor at Western since '87-ish, maybe '86, '87.
Wow.
So he's been teaching there for a while.
Yeah.
I grew up, man, like I had this idea. I remember watching Barbara Walters, 2020.
Yeah.
When I was in like 7th or 8th grade, and there was a guy that she was interviewing, and this guy was driving around in a sick car.
Yeah.
What I thought was a sick car.
Sure.
And he was in Chicago, and he was going from flea market to flea market to flea market, buying stuff, and he would sell it on eBay. And that was the time.
How old are you?
When I was watching that?
No, how old are you now?
36.
36. Okay.
Yeah.
Put all the timelines together here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I should have said like 32.
Yeah.
I mean, with all the grays that I have now.
Yeah, well,
that's not
on my
even good.
dating profile, I'm 32.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean?
All right. So this guy was going around buying all the stuff and selling them on eBay.
Yeah.
Multi-millionaire doing this. I'm like, wow, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to own my own business one day. I talked to my parents about it. Didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
My dad was like, "You're going to study hard." And these are two heroes in my life, all right?
Oh, yeah,
my mom and dad, heroes, just like
yeah.
everybody's parents, heroes. And so my dad's like, you know what? You're going to study hard. You're going to forget about all this craziness.
Okay.
You're going to study hard, and you're going to go to a good college, and you're going to get a job. All right. But I'm still thinking about this interview this entire time. I'm like, you know what? I've got to make something happen. So in high school rolls around, and so get this. I was suspended from high school for screwing around with the high school's computers and changing my grades.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
All right. So I like hacked everything,
Yeah.
and that was just suspended does not mean expelled. Okay,
Right.
They're two totally different things. I had to do community service. It was like 50 hours of community service, and I just built Goodwill's website. The local chapter built the website and called it 50 hours, and they wrote a little note. But in that, I learned how to clean computers, how to write software, do all these things. I'm like, you know what? Back then, computers were just coming out.
Yeah, fresh.
Gateway, Dell. There were all these big towers. You remember that?
Yeah. That's why I asked you your age, because we're at the same.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember exactly where you're at.
We grew up without technology and with tech.
We're that hybrid. They talk about it a lot.
Yep.
We're like the last breed, our age group right there. Like I think they call it like 78 to like 84 is this weird window, and they actually think that we will become the wealthiest generation because we grew up in the in between world where we grew up building forts outside. Tree houses,
I remember that.
All that stuff, right? Because there was no computers.
Did you use snow forts?
Oh, dude, all of them. Like, depending on what season it was, we're building it, right?
Yeah.
And grew up outside. We were the last group that kind of grew up with you get home from school and you went outside and played all day long.
That's exactly what I did.
Right?
Yeah, we beat each other up.
Yep.
Right.
Nonstop.
That was it. That was it.
But then we were the group that was coming into the technology world. We're like, here's a computer. It is as big as this desk,
right.
whatever it was.
It had a floppy disk, and then it had CD-ROM drives.
We had the CD, they come in the mail for the internet,
the
AOL
stuff.
all that stuff, right?
I still have all of them at home.
So like we grew up, and they call this hybrid. I forget they have a word for it, but they think that we will be one of the most successful brackets because we're pulling from like both sides of technology and creativity. Of go outside and use your imagination and turn a flip flop into a machine gun or whatever it is that you're doing in war and fighting and stuff so we're the same age so I know exactly what you're talking about with computers and coming up from them.
So I learned how to play with computers, replace hardware. So I turned that into a business. Now granted, I talked to my dad about it and he's like, fine, give it a shot. To which I'm like, yeah, let's do this, man. And so I partnered with my partnered, I joint ventured
JV'd.
with my friend down the street. His name's Matthew Carroll. So Matthew, if you're listening, love you, man. Love you, dude. And I printed out this little sign, I stuck it on the outside of my bedroom door, said Abi Gohar, CEO of Max Technologies. That's what we called it, Max Technologies. And we were running some serious hours. In high school, we were making like between $25 and $50 an hour. Billing out anywhere between 30 and 50 hours a week to our neighborhood because who was going to like fix the computers back then?
It was like no one knew anything.
Nobody.
Like, if it didn't.
Windows 3.1, 95, 98, NT,
there was no
nothing.
Geek Squad. There was nothing, bro. It was brutal.
So I grew up in an environment where my dad was like, you know what? It makes sense. Explore a little bit of your entrepreneurial side. But in doing so, in building this business, not only did I understand how to deal with customers, marketing. This is like, the school of hard knocks marketing, right? This isn't just like I'm going to preheat a bunch of people on a Facebook campaign and do all this stuff. And you guys have it easy now, right? You can't make $1 million today, then, hogwash. So back then I learned a lot about growing a business and starting a business. I learned a lot about failure. And I also thought, man, if I could build this business and I could also learn more hardware, maybe doing an engineering degree is not such a bad idea. And there are a lot of brown parents, there are a lot of Indian parents, Pakistani parents that will say, hey, we're going to force our kids to do engineering, or we're going to force our kids to do medical. We're going to force our kids, the stereotype, right? I don't think that's fair. That's not fair to the kid.
Yeah.
And I grew up in an environment where initially there was a little bit of that, but then I made my own decision, and I'm so thankful for my parents and my dad especially in saying, hey, you know what? Do what you love to do and explore. And that's how I grew up. Mm-hmm. The expectation was excellent grades. The standard is the standard, right? Like, if you don't get good grades, if you don't get straight A's, we're going to talk about it. And it's not only straight A's. You have to be involved with the community. You're doing community service, and you're going to do volunteering. You're going to play sports. You're going to play a musical instrument. You're going to go talk to all the uncles and aunties and your neighbors. You're going to do Boy Scouts. You're going to help your neighbors. You're going to do the soup kitchen. We did all of that.
Yeah.
That was the expectation growing up. And so I learned how to talk to people. I learned how to build relationships. Andrew, you are a master at building relationships. And it starts when you're a kid.
Yeah, 100%.
It really started for me when I was younger. And so when I was in high school, that's what I did. And I thought, man, I also need to get educated. So while I was in high school, I was also dual enrolled at KVCC, the Kalamazoo Valley Community College, and also dual enrolled at Western Michigan University, where my dad taught.
Yep.
So I was triple timing it, man. I was in high school. Quadruple timing. I was in high school, running a business, going to KVCC taking computer classes, and also going to Western Michigan University learning how to code. That was all 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. Did that for 3 years.
Crazy.
Yeah.
When it's funny because you talk about what I think is like one of the most important things in business, which is networking, and so much of it is understanding how to communicate and talk to people. And as I listened to kind of your path there as a kid, a lot of similarities. And I remember my dad used to force me to go talk to, I grew up in a very religious home, so we'd go to this church, and we would sit there before church started, and my dad would, I was probably, third through sixth grade or seventh grade, and he would literally say, hey, you see that guy over there? I mean, it was a big 10,000 person church, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, you see that guy right over there, standing up right there? And I'd be like, yeah. And I'm fourth grade, right? He's like, I want you to go talk to him, and I want you to ask him questions about whatever it was, how do you become a man when you grow up? He would give me a couple questions, and being my dad was my hero, I'm like, you want me to do this? No problem.
You're going to do it.
Boom, here I went. And I began to ask grown men who are 50 some odd years old, 40, whatever it is. Here comes this fourth grader, and I'm asking them all these questions and talking to them. And I assumed, it was funny, it was back in the day, I assumed my dad knew all these people. It wasn't until later in life, when I was out of my house, I was telling the story one day to my dad, and he's like, yeah, I didn't know those guys. He's like, I had no idea who they were. I thought they were his friends, where, he sent me to talk to his friend. He didn't actually know who they even were. So here I was as a fourth grader, think about this, walking up to a complete stranger at church, asking him how would you start a business? In fourth grade. But it taught me this concept of communicating with people, carrying on a conversation, talking to people, opening doors, through reciprocal communication. Mm-hmm. And it forever has changed my life. Kind of what you were talking about there in high school. You learn how to network and communicate and the art of it, and it's forever changed. What I do, how I do business, everything, you know what I mean?
Totally. Soccer changed my life too. I remember in the first grade, Mrs. White, I think that was her name, Mrs. White, I was this chubby first grader.
Okay, I could not see that, but okay.
Right. I was this chubby, fat first grader.
You're 112 pounds wet right now.
Maybe 111. just saying. So I was this chubby, fat first grader, and I had so much energy I could not focus in class.
Okay.
So Mrs. White, during parent-teacher conferences, she sat down with my parents, and she's like, does he get any exercise? Does he do any outdoor activity? My parents were like, no, not really. So the next day, my dad enrolled me in ASO, the American Youth Soccer Organization.
Okay.
I was hooked. I loved soccer,
Yeah.
but I was also a ball hog.
Oh yeah.
And nobody wanted to pass the ball to me.
Which in soccer is like the worst because it takes forever to get down the field.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Soccer literally is about kicking it 20 yards and
Right.
then another and then another, right?
Right.
And then when you play with someone who ball hogs in soccer, it's like, come on, dude.
You're
like
killing
dribbling
me.
all the way down the field.
You're killing me.
That's great.
And then half
dude.
the time you lose the ball anyway.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And so I didn't realize the importance of a team.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that, and I was so in my head about, I just want to be the best. It's about me. It's about me. No, it's Abi. It's me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the best. Give me the ball.
Right.
Until I got out of my own way, and my coach said, hey, if you want to be a great soccer player, you can keep doing what you're doing. You'll be hated for life, right?
Right.
But if you want to be a great soccer player, you need to learn how to work with other team members.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody on this team right now, because you've been the ball hog pretty much the entire season, they don't want to pass the ball to you. You've lost rapport with them.
Yep.
You've lost a relationship with them. Go fix it. And I'm like, how do I do that? And he's like, you figure it out. It's your mess. You clean it up.
Yeah.
And I had to just claw it back. And I had to build that rapport back until I was able to lead that team, gain that trust, and say, hey, guys, we're going to win this. If you need any help, let me know, and we'll do it
Right.
together.
Yeah, because inside of business, I know I was with you a while back. You were talking about the kind of the 4 pillars of real estate, and team is one of them.
Yep.
And forever in business, it is completely built around who's on your team. I always talk a lot about in our organization about it's about hiring the right people, and then I think equally as freaking important, which people miss all the time, it's about hiring the right people and then getting the right people in the right seats. You could have a great, super talented person, but in the wrong area,
Totally.
division, whatever it is, and you'll never maximize where the business is supposed to be going, right? I think there's so much validity in understanding how to work with a team, and then are all those team members in the right places?
Right.
So they're maximizing their strength inside of it. So
Can you imagine if you're a visionary? Can you imagine you sitting in front of a spreadsheet, filling out stuff?
Let me help you out. There's zero chance.
You would die. You'd be like, I'm walking out of this
Yeah.
business right now.
When I got that's literally how I got into business, mind you. When I was in freshman high school, my dad, I was in freshman high school, college, and when I got my first job ever, and it was at UPS, and it was like a second shift job where I was literally just throwing boxes. Like it never ended. Kind of came down a conveyor belt and a chute, and my job was to move the boxes like literally just behind me into another chute, right? Mm-hmm. And I was there for 6 hours, and it never ran out of boxes for 6 hours, right? Like it was literally like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And I remember doing this, and uniquely enough, when I was a kid growing up, my dad, who was a complete like machine of work, like always worked, still this day worked. But when I grew up, weird enough, he did not let me get a job. He refused to. And in high school, it infuriated me. Because here's all my buddies getting these different jobs at, waiters at restaurants, busboys, whatever
They're
it is.
making money. You're like, hey.
And they got money. And again, it was like that. Back then, it was like $80 a week. And they're like, oh, man, look at, But back then, it was, dude, that was like, when you're in high school, $80 a week is a lot of money. Like, you have nothing to buy, no expenses, right?
Right.
And I freaking was so mad at him. And his whole philosophy was that he's like, son, look, you've got the rest of your life. When you get out of my house here, you will spend the rest of your life working. Why do you want to go get a jump start right now? Now, it's not that he didn't teach me how to work. Like, there was times where he would, like, hey, come with me. And we would go put 12-hour days in digging ditches and teaching me work ethic. But he just refused to let me go get a job while I was in growing up. Another weird one is he refused to let me have an alarm clock when I was a kid. It was weird.
Why?
Same thing. He said, look, son, he's like, eventually, one day you're going to move out of this house. And you will spend the rest of your life waking up by an alarm clock. So while you're here, enjoy the time of where you're at in life. Be present right here. And just enjoy being in high school. Enjoy being in grade school. Enjoy being in junior high. Because some of these things you'll never be able to get rid of in your life again. And so many cool principles as I went through it. But the reason I got into business was I got that first job. And very quickly, like day 2, I was like, this ain't gonna work, bro. This ain't gonna work. Like you said, and that's how I went and started a business. It was out of, I cannot do this. And I was willing to go start a business as a 19-year-old kid that knew nothing about anything about business whatsoever. But it was like, I promise you, I will never do that. I can't. Like my body just doesn't, and so that's how I went and got in business, was put me in front of a spreadsheet or move in boxes one at a time for 6 hours. I can't do it. It's just, and it forced me to go create a business.
Yeah.
It worked though. You know what I mean?
It's a good way to go.
It freaking. I was with somebody at an event just recently, and we crazy enough. We went to college together. We met at this event, and he was talking to one of my staff, and they're like, "Oh my God, you know Andrew from college, et cetera." And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Andrew's the only person I've ever known to run a multi-million-dollar business out of college in his underwear from his bunk beds." Because I was just determined, I cannot go that route right there.
Yep.
And it was like reminiscing 20 some odd years ago of how valuable the lessons in business and life that we learn and so forth. I want to talk to you for a second, though. Let me move to your tech companies.
Sure.
You've got some crazy stuff going on with your technology stuff. Mm-hmm. And I know you had this massive background in real estate and building, developing rentals, portfolios, et cetera. I kind of want to set that aside because I talk to a lot of real estate people. I want to talk about the tech side, right? When I see technology in business, especially kind of what you're doing with software development, to me, it's the engine that runs all freaking businesses. And when you can have a software that's built for what you're doing, growing, accomplishing, it's what's going to scale and grow that business to levels and levels and levels.
Yeah.
When you do it, as from a company, people can hire you or partner with you. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, software companies are becoming partners in all these freaking random businesses.
Totally.
Because software is expensive.
Yeah.
Again, go back to IT, right? I mean, software engineering. That software engineering dude is going to run you a lot of freaking money, and a lot of startups don't have the money to cough up for software development. And so they're like, hey, we'll give you 15% of this, build this software out for us.
And
where do you see technology?
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, there are a lot of software, these startup founders that can't speak the language of software.
For sure. That's a whole nother...
And even their COOs, their CTOs can't speak the language of software.
For sure.
Because there's a very big difference between the business process side and how that translates into a very detail-oriented if-then statement software build.
Yeah.
Two completely different things. You know where it all started for me?
Where?
The Square Root Club at Michigan.
Oh gosh, Square Root Club.
In 2002, my first semester, and then I'll get to your question, I promise. It's a good story. My first semester at Michigan, I was a hot shot coming out of high school.
Okay.
My 3.95 GPA, and I was feeling great. First semester of Michigan engineering, and you had to apply specifically to the College of Engineering. You had to get selected. They had a 10% acceptance rate. I'm like, I got this.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody can touch me. Oh, I was humbled fast. My first semester, I failed so hard that I was the president of the Square Root Club, the unofficial president of a non-existent club. Do you know what the club is? How do you get to the Square Root Club? It's where the square root of your GPA is higher than your GPA. So the square root of 4 is 2.
2. Okay.
The only way that equation is true is if your GPA is less than 1. So think about that for a second. If you square root 0.81 or 0.9,
right,
the resulting number is higher. That means my GPA was so low, you could square it or you could square root it and get a higher number.
Wow.
I broke down after final exams, and my parents were calling. I didn't even have a cell phone back then. They were calling the landline to my dorm room, and I was I was in a corner, right? I was in a corner, just shivering and twitching. I'm gonna get beat by my dad, right? That's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna go home and get just slapped.
Yeah.
And my buddy Tommy comes over. He's like, dude, I haven't seen you in 5 days. You smell like crap. You look like crap. You haven't eaten anything. You've lost weight. What's going on with you? I'm like, dude, I just failed my semester. And you know what books he gave me? Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich, yeah.
Rich Dad Poor Dad,
wow.
And a couple of others. And he's like, read these books, and then let's talk.
Uh-huh.
And in reading these books, I realized 2 things. Number 1, business is the way to go. We need to create value.
Yep.
Number 2, the use of technology can help scale these businesses further. I love real estate, but I love real estate now as a passive investment vehicle.
Sure.
Where I spend all of my time is in private equity, tech, and identifying people to work with me so that we can keep pushing these businesses forward. The technology, I have a software company. We've got 55 employees, and all we do all day is solve complex business problems with tech. It can be a business process. It can be a system. We've built processes. We've built software for Disney. We've done work for the state of New York. We've built telehealth software platforms, healthcare education platforms, anything under the sun. Mm-hmm. It is incredible. And so now the idea is, well, wait a minute. You're telling me that we can go find a business, we can go develop technology for a business that needs it, and take a little equity? Done.
Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, like, technology companies are becoming equity players, which no one would. This kind of goes back to that concept in high school where people, if you remember people talking about it, they were like, hey, you jocks, you better wake up because you're not that great of an athlete for starters. Okay, you're only good at your small high school, right? Hey, jocks, it's like you better wake up, dude, because these quote unquote, let's just call them for right now for sake of story illustration, these nerds that don't play it, that are doing all this stuff, they're one day going to run and like you know, you will be working for them, and like the software world, engineering world is that world. Where like all these like in school making the 3.95 GPAs and so forth, that we're like, holy crap, they're now like not running but owning their hands in all these different companies. I just find the technology play with software so freaking intriguing.
Yep.
Because of what it eliminates inside of business. And dude, I think you had a great point a while ago, and talking about how software technology is a different language. And what I took from that was not like a different language such as just learning how to talk to the software people. We have these meetings in our company where, you know, every Monday we meet and all of our high-level staff, C-levels are coming in, and we talk about all these different businesses and so forth.
Yeah.
And at this one section of it, for a couple hours, our chief technology officer comes in. And no one can communicate with, like, his brain is like so different.
It's wired differently, isn't it?
It's so different that we are like, what did he say? But like he looks at what we're talking about in like this sales process or this generating a lead process or and then in his brain he's like, okay, if they click here, this happened, and I can get your customer from here to here, and I actually don't need you anymore. And you're like, wait, what? And
yeah.
It's amazing what these software guys, technology officers are doing inside of companies. But it's very hard to communicate. It's a different language that we speak.
Yeah.
They look at everything differently.
Yeah.
Of how a visionary entrepreneur looks at it. Like, oh, let's go do this and call this person and do this. And they're like, why would you call them? We could do this, this, and this, and you never need to call them.
Yeah, you got workflows. I mean, especially now today.
Yeah.
You have so many tools available.
Yeah, it's unlimited.
Right. Like you don't. Let's put having a software company aside, or even engaging a software company aside for a second. You don't even need any code to do anything to scale. You don't need that to scale a company anymore.
Yeah.
What do you really need? A CRM, customer relationship management tool. You need some way to reach out to your customers pre-sale, post-sale. That's probably need an email campaign, text message campaign software. So maybe something like a MailChimp or an Active Campaign if you're looking for some more advanced email campaign workflows. You probably need a text messaging platform. Go get Avocado or Twilio, some type of integration.
Yep.
Completely no-code options available there.
Yeah.
You just hook them all up using
We use them all the
Zapier,
time, bro.
and you're set.
We use them all the time.
But if you really want to leverage tech, and if you want to build something that's proprietary, that adds enterprise value to your business, so that eventually one day you can sell it, let's be honest, you're not going to be in the business forever.
Right.
You want to have a nice landing. You want to be able to have sunset nicely.
Yeah, extra
beautiful
strategy.
sunset, a couple $1 million, right? So what's the exit? The exit's not just to keep working for the rest of your life. So what's the asset that you're going to build inside the business outside of the products and the services and the people and the proprietary
The
workflow?
intellectual property, dude.
You need the tech.
Yeah.
So invest the money to build the tech.
Yep. Without getting into all that we do, like we literally build these different platforms, like you're saying, technology, and go deep on it, like deep. And there's been many times that it is 100% like paid off, and sometimes it doesn't pay off. Sometimes you get too, for us at least, we've got too deep in certain projects with too technology, and it just didn't pan out for what we were looking for. But then sometimes we'll hit it, and the scalability of what we were able to do, of going from like 1,000 of blank to 4,000 of blank, and we only hired one more person.
Yeah.
Because it was all software driven from there.
Right.
Right. And those extra 3,000 could have been, of blank. It literally might have been $3 million of income.
Right.
But we actually only hired one more person for, $53,000 a year.
Yeah.
Because of the investment of the technology. And that technology is now part of that company that now when we sell ABC Company that has all this different products and services, which is where the income is coming from. Right, but we also actually own this over here. So if you want to buy this, you have to buy this.
Or license that.
Yep, or we turn around and license this back and then keep a cut of everything as it comes in.
There you go.
I'm telling you,
There you go.
software is like this. Technology is this like crazy thing that it's over my head because I was the 1.2 GPA. I was doing.
Yeah, you were higher than me.
I was the entrepreneur in the back of the room.
Yeah.
That was. You started that in high school, or I thought about. I started a business in grade school. Was my first business. I kind of like started.
Yeah.
And I was in 4th grade, and we played football at recess and so forth. And all these like 5th graders or 4th grade, whatever class. That's 4th grade. All these 4th graders from all the different classes would come out. Huge playground area back then, and we had this like soccer field or whatever. And so one day I just had this idea of like, oh dude, I'm gonna start my own league. We play football every day at recess. I'm gonna start a league. And in 4th grade, I started a football league and charged other 4th graders to be in my league. And we had like a drawing. I had to pick coaches. And,
it's so great.
And if you want to be a coach, you had to pay extra money to be the coach. And we had a draft. I did like a whole. I'm in 4th grade, and the draft was a little bit more of a drawing draft. And
yeah.
And we would play multiple games at recess. We didn't play the full fit. All this stuff. And eventually they shut it down.
Of course.
Of course. Like,
I mean,
my God, could you imagine someone doing something entrepreneurship in school?
Yeah.
And they
expose. Wait a minute, this is so illegal.
So bad, and they shut it down. But
killing me.
I was the opposite of the smart dude. I was always that dude in the back of the room, just like thinking of stuff, and then going and creating it, right?
Yeah.
And that word you used earlier is like one of my favorite words of all time. Create.
Yep.
Like create. You
gotta create
content, create your brand, create technology, create information, just create opportunity.
Yep.
The word is create that you're looking for. Create stuff.
Yep.
Create stuff.
Yeah. For me, studying was so hard.
Yeah.
I could sit down for a little bit of time. And then my mind would start to wander, and then I'd be like, let me go read a book.
And this was
that's more interesting.
During our day and age, this was before like the whole ADHD was like accepted and.
You were made fun of. You were made fun of
for sure.
You were taking the short bus to school.
Yeah. The Ritalin. I think back in the day, it was like Ritalin and stuff.
And the pill looked so wonky. It was like this weird alien-looking.
And don't tell me how
thing.
many kids, myself included, should have probably been on it.
Oh yeah.
Because our brains are like, right? And like studying, not a thing, dude. Like,
right.
And my mom was school teachers. Like, I went to school all day, came home to school teachers. Like, it was like, okay, let's do your homework, And dude, it's like, my brain was just not there. But it's like, again, it was like that day and age where like, I don't know if it just wasn't accepted yet or frowned upon, whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
And when you talk about reading the books, it's like, squirrel.
Gone,
right?
Yeah.
Take me 3.5 years to read a book in high school.
Yep.
Moby Dick was like.
Now I have no problem.
Yeah.
I'm like, just give me. All I read is nonfiction.
Okay.
And I read books by the greatest investors, the greatest leaders.
Yeah.
And I'm not an Audible guy.
I'm not either, dude.
I need to read. Like, I need a physical book.
And that's the thing. I don't have a digital book reader either.
Yeah, I can't do digital.
I've tried and tried and tried.
I just can't stare. How many screens are you going to stare at?
With all the traveling I did on airplanes, I'm like, dude, if I just get a Kindle, whatever it is, I've tried Kindle and Apple and Remarkable. Like, I've tried everyone you can think of, color, non-color, black and white.
It just doesn't work. It's not the same.
And it's like, this thing holds 10,000 books. And I'm like, I tried Audible.
Yeah.
Tried it. Try again. I can't do it. I need the book. I need the actual book. I need a highlighter.
Yeah.
I love to highlight my books.
I'll take notes in mine all the time.
What's crazy is like I started this thing. People ask me a lot about reading, and there was years ago when I started into business, there was a thing where someone told me, way wealthier than I was, that was, Drew, you're only going to change by 2 ways: the books that you read and the people you surround yourself with. So go master those two things. And it's 100% freaking true.
Yeah.
It's who I surround myself with.
Yeah.
Opens doors, opens opportunities, how things work, whatever. And then the other one is the books that you read. And years ago, I just started reading a book a month. Like, hey, let's just read a book a month. Nonfiction, investing, leadership, visionary stuff. And I'd read a book a month. And then one year, I was like, you know what, dude? It was New Year's time. I'm like, December, and I was setting some goals. I'm like, I'm going to read a book a week. Like, I've been a book a year for like 2 or 3 years. Yeah. I'm like, I'm going to read a book a week.
That's a big shift. Because now it's
a bigger deal, bro.
One book a year versus now 52 books a year.
12 books a year.
Oh, 12 books. One book a month.
One book a month. So I had to go from 12 books to 52 books.
Yeah.
Well, with the book a month.
5x.
With a book a month, you know, like if you just put some basic time into it, like you can read a book a month. It's not freaking difficult, right?
No. Even if you read at a snail's pace and you have ADHD.
Yeah.
Like,
you can still do it.
You can still do it.
You can still do it.
Yeah.
You don't even have to like schedule it. You can just like periodically pick up the book and read it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them you'll get like carried away into it, right? If it's a good book. But with a book a week, it was different because you had to like schedule actual time to go read.
Yeah.
Because you got to read X amount of pages, you know, through the week. And then I, like, for whatever reason, made it super difficult myself and said, okay, read a book a week and then write a book report on it. Like a 1-page, like, you know, basic breakdown.
Why would you do that?
I don't know. I don't know. And I'm so freaking goal-oriented, like, and I'm so competitive, like, I have to go do this now. And I mapped it out, and I had a 3-ring binder, dude, of 52 book reports at the end of that year. I put them in those like clear pages back in high school and college, right? Plastic pages or whatever.
Yeah, so you kind of open it up, you throw them in there.
Yep. Yeah. And then 52 of them in this 3-ring binder. But to this day, still when I teach in class and so forth, I still will lean back all the way back. That was 10 years ago, 12 years ago, when I started that on books I read. The only thing I've changed in time, which I learned this off of a podcast, because I can do podcast audibles, right? Like, we're not audible, but podcasts. I do those all the time.
Yeah.
I just can't do audible books. Something about it I don't like. And this dude was doing this podcast, and he's like, he was talking about reading. And he said, the biggest thing that changed my life was I read, for years, he said, I read to read. I read to read. And he said, I changed that in my life.
To read.
I think,
That's
is that
an
right?
Interesting concept.
And he said, I changed that to where now I read to comprehend. And it changed how I read books. Because back then it was just like, here's this book, 300 pages. All right, here we go. It's 1 o'clock my reading time. Let's start reading the book. And I read the book. Now it's like, I'll read a book as I read, and sometimes I won't get past a freaking 1 page. Because I'm reading this book on business or whatever it is, and it's like, oh, dude, that's really good. Like, I need to apply this. Like, this is really good for my team, for whatever it is. And then I will, like, shut the book and go start building out whatever that thing was, right? Because that's why I read.
I've caught myself doing that, too.
You read to grow, not read to read. You read to grow.
I've also found that there's some authors, like, if you read Robert Kiyosaki, he leaves so much out of his books.
For the imagination.
Yes.
I guess you call it that.
So
there's a lot of missing stuff.
There's 10% of his books, like, you can flip through a Kiyosaki book, and you'll, like, 10% of it's good.
I've always said that with Kiyosaki's books, for the most part, minus a couple he's written lately, they're actually all the same.
That's what I'm saying. 10% is probably good.
It's all the same.
Yeah,
like, every book is the same thing, just like worded differently.
Yes. What I'm noticing now is the really good authors, they will write about their expertise, but if you read the sentence and you find out what they're not saying, that gold nugget is more important than what they've actually written. And I know you know what I'm talking about, because it's the one strategy. It's like watching a movie that you've seen 15 times over, and on the 16th time you're like, oh, wait a minute! Neo is bending the Matrix. And this actually means that he's doing X, Y, and Z. Right? Like, holy cow, it's a complete mind shift. And that's what I live for.
Yeah, because when he says you read those books and they have words on a page.
Yeah.
And it's like, those are just words on a page. But and a lot of it is good, 10%, whatever it is. And when you find that behind the scenes piece that and either they're trying to say it, but it's not coming through, or They're just not saying it. And Kiyosaki, who I freaking love, is the author that never actually says how to go do it, but always talks about how to go do it. You know what I mean? And then like when you find like understand how to go do it, then the rest of his book actually makes way more sense to you all of a sudden, right? But yeah, dude, the behind the scenes golden nuggets are like super powerful, dude.
Absolutely.
Do you do the podcast? Like, do you listen to them? I know you have your podcast.
Oh, yes,
Do you
yes,
listen
yes.
to the podcast?
I do. Yep.
Dude, I listen to podcasts and certain podcasts and so forth.
Tony Robbins is a good podcast. Brendan Bouchard's a good podcast.
Yeah, Brendan Bouchard's got a good one. Yeah. I like, holy crap, I just lost his name. Andy Stanley's. So he's actually a pastor, but he does a lot of education on leadership. Dude, it is so freaking good.
I'm going to have to check him out now. I'm like, where's my phone?
Yeah,
like,
Andy,
I'm going to go get it.
He may have like 2 different ones, but the one that he does is like Andy Stanley on leadership, something like that. And the reason I love it is because he brings in like New York Times bestselling authors constantly to his podcast. And Andy will first, at least it seems like, will read this guy's book multiple times. And Andy will know everything about this book. And then Andy will then interview, and Andy, if you don't know him, but Andy Stanley, he's down in Atlanta. He runs like, I don't know, 30,000 people at his church. Like, it's one of those like mega things.
Wow.
Like,
very similar to like almost a Joel Osteen.
Yeah. Just in Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
And he'll bring these authors in, and then he will ask them all these questions, breaking down their book, and get them to teach their book, but not in a audible format. Like in a, let me read this to you. He's like, no, tell me what you meant when you said this, which is like the nugget that you're talking about here.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I love.
Yes.
And he'll bring them on culture and how to work with millennials, like all just across the board books, all more business-oriented nonfiction books. Dude, you got to listen to his podcast.
I will.
God listen to his podcast,
I'm going to find him in a second.
It is, and he's actually in your backyard. And then, dude, like I find myself, when I listen to podcasts, and I just create process for everything. I don't know if you're this way or not, but like when I listen to a podcast, again, I listen to it to learn, not listen to it to listen to it.
Yep.
And so I got a process where I have Apple Watch, and I literally will sit there and because I do a lot of podcasts when I'm either traveling or when I'm working out. And as I listen to a podcast, my brain just like turns on. And it's like, wait, how did you say that? Oh, I can do this, I can build this. And then I'll start building content off of a word that I heard, and then build off this, like all this teaching content off of this one word over here.
So you know when that happens to me? When I'm in the shower.
Oh, yeah, dude. I've dealt with the shower thing too.
I can't deal with it.
I dealt with the shower thing.
It's like I'll listen to a podcast in the shower, and I'll realize something. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to write this down before I forget. So here I am, like butt naked.
Yep, running.
Running around the house.
Yep.
Wet.
Yep.
On my laptop, and my wife's like, you know, you're like dripping water all over this. I'm like, I can't stop. And then my computer crashes because clearly there's water on it.
You got to go to voice. Like, that's where I was going with this whole thing. Like, on Apple Watch. On the trails.
Okay.
I do a lot of hiking and stuff.
Yeah.
And podcast is going, and I'll come with this stuff, and my mind is just like you said, it's just like running on the visionary stuff. And I just go to my watch, hit voice memos, and I just start talking, and I have headphones on, but I'll just start talking and saying all this different stuff. And then that, when I get done with my exercise, I email that to my assistant. She types all that stuff out for me and then puts it on my desk. And it's like, there's all that I was trying to say, all typed out into it. And same thing in the shower. I do the same thing in the shower, bro. I do it at nighttime too. I'll wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Do you lucid dream at all?
Yeah.
Have you've had those experiences?
Oh, for sure.
It's like, so when you're
voice activation, dude.
When you're in this REM state.
Yeah.
And maybe it's REM, maybe it's not. I don't know. But what I do know is I can control my dreams. And when I Google that you can lucid dream, you can solve so many problems. And I wake up the next day, I'm like, holy cow, I have solutions to problem A, B, C, D, and I have new ideas.
People don't believe
it's incredible
that this happens. And I'm telling you,
it's a thing.
It's so powerful. I did it just recently. I was doing an event, and I had all this stuff I needed to get done. And I did it at 3 o'clock in the morning, like through the dreaming side of it, where it's like this weird, I don't know how to describe it.
It's weird.
I don't know how to describe it.
It's weird. Yeah.
And that's why I do the voice activation stuff. because like as I'm going through it, it's like real life answers, and like I built. This is crazy, and I know people. If you don't do this, it's like it's hard to even understand. Yeah. I built out my entire detailed mission statement in my dream, and then when it was done, and I stayed, and I could feel myself like almost wanting to wake up, but I'm like, no, I'm not done yet.
Right.
And then I got to go back into it, and because I'm in that zone where it's all so clear.
Yeah.
And then when I'm done, I'll wake up and I'll go voice and Hey Google, and then notes, and then I'll just say, and literally my mission statement. This happened like last week, 5 days ago, and it was create. I've said it since we did the Google thing. It was create 4 words. It was create connections, community, commerce. And I'm building this thing. I'm like, dude, this is it. And in my whatever you call it, dream, I came with these 4 words, and then it popped out like the whole purpose of our company of this company that I was doing was to be able to create connections inside of our community to create commerce. Like this is exactly what we do. Like
that's it.
To the T of what that business was meant to do.
Yep.
I could not have came up with that in 10 days straight.
If you were, it didn't matter how many showers you took.
No, all of it laid out in front of me.
Right.
Talking it out with people.
Right.
And it's like exactly what I wanted to say for what that company's purpose is. I did it inside that Lucid dream.
Yep.
Did you do the thing where you go back to sleep? Like, no, don't get up yet. And you go back to there? Yeah,
yes.
I do that a lot too.
And it's weird to talk about it because
I've never actually talked about this on a show.
Yeah, people are gonna be like, all right, first of all, you can't have Abi back because he's like too crazy. You're talking about lucid dreaming and like technology. Like, is he gonna turn into like some hybrid robot guy? Probably not. But very similarly, I was thinking about this investor funnel and building out technology essentially for investors and funnels, how they can. Yep. I'm like, how does that? And I was having a little bit of trouble putting some of the pieces together because it was really detailed and. How do you rope technology into different stages of this? So I just said, you know what? I'm going to drink some chamomile tea, go to bed. So my favorite tea, chamomile tea with a little honey and lemon, go straight to bed. At about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I start dreaming, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. This is exactly how you do it.
Yeah.
And it was, like you said, it was very clear, and I just saw the stage. And for me, it was just glowing. It's like,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
1, 2, 3, and I woke up, I wrote it all down, and that was the solution.
Yeah.
And now I'm building that into my tech.
Let me ask you this, on the same topic here.
Sure.
Do you, because it's unique, because I've never talked about this with anybody on the show before, but do you ever, in daytime or wake, whatever it is, I had, and Oprah had a show on this, I think it was Oprah Ellen. This girl did it on like Facebook, and she came out and said like, hey, do you guys ever live your life almost like in a digital screen in front of you? Okay, so this is where...
Do you ever live your life in a digital screen?
Not your life, maybe, but live your, like whatever it is that you're doing, whatever it is, right? So and here's what I mean by this. So this girl came out on like Facebook or Twitter, whatever it was, or Instagram, and she's like, hey, I just trying to see if anyone else does this. And she runs her calendar this way. So people do have different ways they do it, right? And for her, she's like a super OCD person, and she literally like, so in my world, and like as I like sit here, I have a calendar. Like this is her, not me. She's like, I have a calendar right here that's like a digital calendar, and she's like, I got the month here, and then my like all my meetings over here, and like who wants to call, and she's like, I live where I got to get kids to practice over. She's like, I live on this digital calendar, but it's like a digital calendar in my head, but it's like in front of me. So she did this whole thing and went like viral. And then Ellen had her on the show because all these doctors came out and said, oh, that's called such and such, whatever it is. And I don't do the counter thing, but I do that. Do you do that? See if I have another buddy in you, another connection with you. So mine is not a calendar, so I'll tell you what mine is. Mine's more like, I don't know how to describe it, as almost like a chess board. Because all I do is make connections. Like that's my life, right? It's like connecting these different things. And then I'm very competitive in certain arenas. And so I almost have these like, iPhone like scoreboards of whatever it is I'm competing with, and like what's the score, and then whatever it is I'm competing in, and it could be like weight loss, and I keep track of like all this weight loss, where it's at, and then when I'm done with that for the day, like I just like literally swipe it, and then I'll have whatever it is I want to go work on, and you don't think about it nonstop, but it's just periodically always there in front of you.
a spider map.
Okay, what's that one?
Essentially, you start with a big circle.
Yeah.
In the middle of the page, get a piece of paper, draw a big circle in the middle. That's you. So in my case, I'm writing my name down, Abi. On the right side, I think about what I'm currently doing. The next circle off to the, say, top right, current activity or current business opportunities.
Yeah.
And that's going to spin off into all these different types of things. I do that digitally using Lucid chart.
Okay, yep.
And it is a good reminder of this is what I'm doing, here's what I'm focused on, from a health perspective, from a future business perspective, current business, what's going on, what are some of the challenges that I have, and I can redraw that to the T every single day. Like, I know exactly what's on it, and I live on that.
A little bit like a vision board, but more broken down in a business sense. With the spidering matrix of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see that.
Yeah.
But that you have it in your head.
Yeah.
Digitally in your head as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine is like this chessboard. It's like, hey, I'm just constantly like, who's here? What do they do? And I'm like, okay, I can need to put this person with this person, and and I don't know.
So think about that spider map. It gets so big, right? Now it has a web.
Yeah.
And there's certain pieces. So every business opportunity has a name attached to it. So let's say, for example, that I'm doing a podcast, or now we're talking. I'm like, okay, where I can work with Andrew on X, Y, and Z things. I can move you from this part of the map, erase you from over here, and put you over here for this new connection that I've just made on a new opportunity. So I'm constantly moving people from one part of the web to the other part of the web in hopes of like just moving, very similar to chess. Have you seen the Queen's Gambit? I think it's on Netflix.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
You will love.
I should watch that one.
The right
Queen's
now.
Gambit.
Stop this podcast.
I think it's pretty new.
Huh?
Is it pretty new, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's new,
for
right?
sure. You will love it.
The Queen's Gambit.
Yep.
I'll have to check that one out. Someone else told me to watch another one called like Bridgerton or
Yeah, that's a good one too.
something like that.
So in Queen's Gambit, the main protagonist, she'll like fall asleep in her bed, but like she's not really falling asleep. She's looking at the ceiling and just playing chess. That's all she's doing all day. It's just playing chess.
Is it literally chess that she's playing?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so that's what I do, but it's not actual chess. It's like I just call it chessboard because I'm always in
moving
this
things.
game. I'm moving pieces.
Yeah.
And
We talked about movement.
Yeah,
You know,
constantly.
So
where do I put my money at? Where am I moving my money at?
Yeah.
Where's it going?
Where's the opportunity?
And then I have the scoreboard over here of like this investment is doing this, and this. Okay, I'm good there. And it's just constantly, dude.
I'm also looking at like what's in the top 20%, what's in the bottom 20%, and then can I make the bottom 20% any more efficient, or do I need to get rid of it?
Or do you cut it?
Yeah, or do I cut it? If I cut it, boom, it vanishes just like a big eraser.
Yep,
it just
like my
vanishes.
Jamboard.
Yep. That's exactly what I do on my freaking web.
Yeah,
so,
dude. You should do a Jamboard for your web.
I need that.
And then
I need that. You got an extra one?
Yeah. Yeah, dude. It's funny how different people work different ways, right? Another crazy thing is you made me think of something earlier about sleeping. You talk about tea.
Yes.
As best I can, I built out a very detailed nightly routine, bedtime routine. Let's call it bedtime routine.
Okay.
That has like revolutionized my life.
What is it? If you tell me yours, I'll tell you mine.
Mine's very lots of stuff into it, but
Sure.
in a ballpark, I call it, because I actually think about
Bird's eye.
teaching. I'm because people ask me all the time, like, hey, dude, how do you freaking get so much work done? Like, my hands in so many different areas, and a lot of it is, I think it's how I start my day and end my day. Because I can't always control what's going to happen in between my day.
Sure.
As an entrepreneur, right? Like, you come to work and it's like,
Crap happens.
shit happens, dude.
It's there's so much shit that's just going on. You're like,
And you got to deal with it.
right. I've already got 200 emails. It's not even 6 a.m.
Yep.
What the hell is that all about?
But what I figured out I could control, even though I try to control that day as much as I can with schedules and blocks and so forth, but what I could control was my morning and my nights.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, dude, I'm gonna try to control this, but I'm for sure gonna control this time and this time. And I start and end my day, number one, with gratitude, like every freaking day. The first thing I do when I wake up is gratitude, and I have certain things that I do to go do it. Like I certain things I do, and then at nighttime, the last thing I do before I go to bed is gratitude. So I wake up and go to bed with gratitude, and I don't mean like 25 minutes of it. I just mean like I on purpose take the time to break down in workable actions, if you will, gratitude pieces. But at night, I do this thing called 3, 2, 1 sleep. Okay? And it's stuff that I do before. And I don't always do it because I travel and so forth, but 3, 2, 1 sleep is like 3 hours before I go to bed, I do stuff. 2 hours before bed, I do stuff. 1 hour before bed, I do stuff. And sleep is like while I'm laying in bed, I wrap up the day of my gratitude, and I do certain things while I laying in bed, and then poof, I'm out.
So
3, 2, 1 sleep.
That's cool.
Like a launch, like doot, doot, doot. It's crazy. I love it. I absolutely
you
love
launch
it,
into sleep. That's pretty neat.
And what's funny about my sleep is like, this is a unique when we talk about sleeping and dreaming. When I go to sleep, I go to sleep. So like some people like struggle or whatever it is.
Oh, I'm out.
Dude is like, I'm like, hey guys, I'm going to bed. And when I say I'm going to bed, I literally mean I am going to sleep. Like,
second.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
you're
like,
out.
Within, I don't mean like in 10 minutes I'll be asleep. I mean like you have 21 seconds maybe. And then when I go to sleep, I'm like, REM. Like, awake, REM. Like that.
Right.
I don't, go back to like the alarm clock thing is I don't use alarm clocks now. Do you use alarm clocks?
No, I don't even need it.
I don't use alarm clocks.
I have, I'll set an alarm clock if I need to.
If I'm nervous about something.
Yeah.
Like if I'm like.
If I have an early morning flight.
I'm traveling. Yeah, stuff like that.
But
then I still
I'm
actually
awake.
use it.
Yeah,
I'll
I'm
be awake
awake
before it
10 or
goes.
15 minutes away.
Yeah.
We are very similar, sir.
Yeah, I don't
so
use them.
my bedtime routine is very. I need to try this 3-2-1 launch.
I have to
kinda
tell you
that.
what I do inside of each of them.
Okay.
Because inside of each of them, I have like all these things that I do.
Yeah.
That start shifting my brain and my energy. It just like slowly starts.
It's a
doing it.
thing. Because
I'm telling you.
What you think becomes how you feel.
100%.
Becomes your actions. Becomes your reality.
Yep, 100%.
So one thing that I do. I like to read, but I don't like to input that much information into my brain while I'm going to sleep.
I can't do it.
I will maybe listen to music. I will definitely journal. I love to journal. Like there's
journaling.
something about
I'm telling you.
connecting your nervous system, pen to paper, and just releasing it on the page.
It's an
great.
anxiety release that people just don't understand.
It is incredible. Every night I journal.
Yeah.
And then
What journal do you use? Do you use a certain one?
Yes.
I use a certain one.
Yes.
What do you use?
Colonel Liddington.
Okay, I use Michael Hyatt's.
Okay.
I love it, dude. Because inside of his, I don't know if yours says this, he asks certain questions.
Yes.
And so it makes it easy for you.
Is that the Focus Planner?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a good one.
I love it, dude.
There's a self-journal too, which isn't. I think that one's a little more premium priced. The self-journal, you can get like 3 of them for the price like of $25, $30 or something. But whatever, to each his or her own.
Yeah.
The Colonel Liddington one, Littleton one, the number 9 journal.
Okay.
It's this really beautiful leather-bound journal, and it's just blank. It's college ruled, and you just go to town. And I really deep thoughts in there.
Does it have the questions or no questions?
No
Okay,
questions.
all
It's
right.
just free form.
Yeah.
But I have something similar for the morning, and get started. Who are you going to send out text messages to, et cetera.
Yeah.
Now that I got your number, I'm going to shoot you a text message in the morning. But the other thing that I'll do, so after I journal, listen to music, like really nice calming music. I'm a huge Sinatra fan.
Okay.
So I'll like even sing Sinatra a little bit.
Yeah.
Fly me to the.
Yeah.
So I'll do that. Go to sleep. So music, journal, meditation. I love to meditate. And it's not a religious thing.
No.
It's just like you just pay attention to your thoughts. You're resting in your awareness.
Yeah, I almost call it like pondering to a certain degree, like meditation, pondering.
Yeah.
It's just diving deep in. Yeah.
See things for what they are.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, once we realize, like we are a physical manifestation of this universe, and everybody else here on this planet is meant to connect with one another, which is why, man, like props to the show, props to doing what you're doing, mad respect, because you are fulfilling what everybody needs. Everybody needs that connection, and you are the ultimate connector. And when I first started on this journey of learning how to be an entrepreneur in high school, I didn't realize I was setting myself on this path of meeting some of the mentors that I was, the books I was reading.
Yeah.
I would eventually meet them one day.
That's crazy when that happens.
It's insane, right?
Insane.
And so if you're starting out in high school, if you're just starting out in college or whatever, it's like get yourself a morning and evening routine. The gratitude is part of mine. The journaling is part of mine. The meditation is part of mine. And I listen to a little music. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. what you think becomes your reality. You are literally putting it out into the universe, and it comes back to you. Mm-hmm. And if you put it out with no expectation, it comes back even faster.
What's crazy is for many years in business, I refused to go down this road because I'm like, dude, this is all hype bullshit.
Were you the guy that's like forcing it? Were you like Power versus Force? Have you read that book?
Power versus Force?
Yeah, I'll send it to you. It's a great book. It's
and
incredible.
I was like, dude, I'm not going to get into this mindset.
Yeah, shumbubbleness.
Right. I'm not going to do it, bro. And I just did it for years. And then I finally started like tweaking it and playing with some stuff. And I'm 100% convinced what you're talking about. Like,
yeah,
what I think is what I become and who I am. Like, dude, there's so much power behind it. And go back to my nightly routine for a second. I even broke down exactly what temperature I wanted, exactly how much light I want or don't like, how I use that. I broke down like what sheets I use. Like I started buying all these different sheets and would test sheets of how I like. I'm telling you, I have sleep down because again, I kind of realized that sleep is like part of rehabilitating my mind, my body, and everything.
Have you tried the gravity blanket yet?
Oh yeah.
It's so
good.
Dude, it's so good. I can't sleep at hotels anymore.
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm going to ship my gravity blanket, or I'm just going to keep buying new gravity blankets every single time and have them shipped to the hotel I'm staying in. That is next level sleep, man.
Yeah, there's so much that goes into it. And the last thing I want to take, because we're out of time here, but is you talk about the planners and so forth and journals, and I use the journal at nighttime. It's one of my 3-2-1 activities. I'm a huge planner person, and I did like freaking 50 of them. Like just trying to find what one gives me the best advantage and all this different stuff and because I'm also big on like when it comes to leadership, leading a team and so forth. Like the all leadership starts internally with you lead yourself first, and I'm under the belief if you don't lead yourself first, there's zero chance you're gonna be leading others. It's a fake facade. That it's a leadership by force or leadership by you're put in a position and you're a leader, but you're not really a leader.
You're not.
Yeah.
And you're talking the talk. You're not walking the walk.
Yeah. And so all my leadership is really not built on. This is weird. I don't do management. I do internal leadership. But anyways, I eventually got to the point where I'm like, okay. I knew what my routine was, and I started mapping out very more detailed, my routine. And a lot of the planners is like, okay, so let me put this over here on the side because it doesn't have exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, I'm going to have this extra thing to do over here. And I'm a written planner. Like I like pen to paper.
Same, yeah.
And eventually, I'm like, screw it. I know what I do. I know how I want to do it. And so I went and built my entire from scratch planner of my life, of exactly how I live, like my days, because I know what I do in my days. Like I know what I do, and there was no exact planner that gave me exactly what I do because they're built for the masses, right? And I'm like you, I like custom things, like software. That's what's great about software.
Oh, it's so good.
You can literally customize it to any piece that you want to go do. Like that's why I love software, right?
Right. Custom.
Right?
Custom.
It's a custom
Everything
piece
is custom.
It
fits better. It looks good.
My sleeves,
so much better.
My sleeves right here are different sizes because your arms are actually a little bit different lengths. Mm-hmm. Everybody's arms are different lengths. This cuff is a little bit
for the watch
wider than this cuff. Like it's all broken down, right? I can tell you all this other stuff in it. But my planner was like, and I had did so much custom stuff. I'm like, I'm gonna just build my planner, and I invested, and I've paid a lot of money. Like I can't even tell you how much money I paid the guy who builds my planner for me. And it's a 1 month planner, and it's like yay thick. It's 1 month at a time, and it's literally from the time that I wake up to the time I go to bed. And everything in between is all inside of it. I am like, it's changed my life, dude.
Okay,
changed my life.
I need this guy.
Changed my life, dude. It has in
Where do
how
you
many
go to
glasses
get a custom
of water.
planner?
Oh, you build it. You find a guy, and they build it, and then I had to go find print shops.
Yeah, to like have it bound properly and all that.
And dude, I'm telling you, it was a project, but revolutionized my life because all of a sudden it's like, no, this is literally what I do in a day. Like, so my gratitude section is in my planner every day, and so every day it's a 30-day planner. Every day it starts off exactly how I want to start my day, and exactly what I do in my day. And I know that certain days I have meetings.
Yeah.
In my life, like big meetings. Like my Monday meeting is like, 10 a.m. to maybe 7 p.m. some nights. And I need to take a ton of notes for this meeting. So on my Monday days in my calendar is like this whole meeting section built into my calendar because I know I have a meeting from 10 to 7 about business with all our teams. And so when I open my planner to Mondays, it's like, yeah, this is my Monday. This is my Monday is in here. But by Tuesday would look totally different than this Monday calendar, right?
Yeah.
It's I'm telling you, life changing, bro. I'll give you my guy.
I need
I'll give you my guy.
I need this
life
guy.
changing, dude.
I like it.
Life changing. So, anyways, dude, I love having the show. You're probably one of my favorite guests because we
went so off script.
About off script.
I kind of feel so. I'm so grateful, first of all, that we went off script. But I kind of feel like we should just keep going for like another hour, even though I don't want to keep us that long. But holy cow!
Yeah, because well, I think it's part of like why I started the whole show is like it's more about this authentic, real conversation about business and life, which a lot of times on the show, sometimes on the show we just don't get into. It stays a little bit, and every guest is different, right? But sometimes it stays a little more superficial of whatever they're doing. But yeah, dude, this has been. I feel like I should have removed this desk and just got that chair here and shot the shit with you for like an hour.
That'd have been great
about business. But yeah, dude, what we'll do is next time you come out here, we'll do another show and we'll try to strictly do maybe real estate or private equity, how private equity works, or we won't do any of it and we'll just go straight back to
lucid dreaming,
journals, journaling, how journaling changes your business.
And you know what? And how is it that you deal with business solutions and problems alone? That's an interesting one because there are a lot of leaders out there, and you and I both know some of the most high-performing, wealthiest guys in the country, gals in the country, guys that are lending $500 million a year. Those problems are not problems you can talk about publicly,
right?
Or internal company challenges you can't necessarily talk to your board about,
right?
Can't talk to your employees about. It's hard to talk to masterminds about. So how do you even solve that? I think that's a very interesting conversation for next time.
That is a super interesting conversation, and one that I have recently just kind of cracked the code on for me. Right, everybody's different. Like I'm the type of person like, dude, I'm not telling you guys what to go do. Like I'm just telling you, like, dude, I'm trying to figure stuff out as we move, and what you're talking about is freaking so important yet so overlooked.
Yes.
Yet then comes back and affects so much of your business.
Right.
But no one knows how to deal with it, and no one actually talks about it. And quickly,
and guys are guilty of this because you know what? We aren't supposed to talk about our feelings.
Yeah, for sure.
And we're supposed to be macho, and we're supposed to be, you know, we're supposed to have it all together. There are days where I just don't even have it together. There's some days that I absolutely fail, Andrew, and I feel like complete shit that day. And I'm like, who am I going to talk to about this?
Yeah.
You know, and I will tear up at the end of the day because I'm like, oh my gosh.
I need to introduce you to a guy. He dealt with so much horrible PTSD coming back from being a SEAL for like 12 years straight.
Jeez.
And talked about how much it affected his life. And he's like, dude, you got to think about, you wake up every day and your thoughts are, who's going to kill me and how do I save my team? Like as a leader, right? Like he's like, dude, you don't understand. Like every day this is what you deal with and you're supposed to. He's like, I'm not griping about it. This is what I signed up for. But he said, there's so much PTSD, but when he got back and he couldn't solve his PTSD, he was going to therapy and all this different stuff. And it's like, it was getting me nowhere. Like, and again, this is guys who's like shot guys and, you know, in war and stuff. And, he does this whole thing now where he works with his high level CEOs and basically goes in your company and mastered all this stuff of your brain and your subconscious brain and how it works and like scientifically stupid levels, right? And he deals with what you're talking about right there. He's basically saying every CEO has PTS. Everyone does. And until you deal with that PTS, as a leader, you will keep automatically, subconsciously self-sabotaging your business because that's all that you know how to go do. And so he comes in and like I use him as like a part therapist, part stuff. And he goes in, if you got to pay him like a ton of money, and he'll come to your business and just with the CEO, and he'll basically, let's just call it for lack of better words, reprogram, crack into your subconscious and reprogram your subconscious with you, and opens up crazy doors for CEOs mentally because everybody has PTS because PTS is like more or less you saying like how you were raised ends up doing stuff over here that you had nothing to do with over here, but it will subconsciously do this over here. Like if you grew up on food stamps and WIC as a kid and you know about it and you have food, it will literally do stuff over here that subconsciously affects how you do stuff over here, right? Like,
It's
so
very.
cool.
It's almost like a butterfly effect.
Yep.
We'll have to trade therapists.
They do this.
So my guy, he used to be a pastor for 30 years. Very spiritual guy. And every time we talk, I feel like I'm inspired. I learn more about myself in these conversations. And he used to speak in front of crowds of tens of thousands of people. And he boils down. He just knows.
Yeah, it's
he
amazing.
Just knows.
They have a gift for it, dude.
It's incredible.
It's their gift, right?
It's incredible.
And when you give these people, it's just like calming and then opening and then. And again, that's why I'm not big on therapy, because what he was saying was like therapy. You're just kind of going in there, dumping all your problems.
Yes.
And just puking all this stuff up.
You're not actively doing anything to help push it forward.
And it actually gets worse the more you do it. Like I got to introduce this dude, and he's literally built for CEOs. Like that's what he does, is works with CEOs on how to, like, as a CEO, you deal with these problems. You have nowhere to really go. Sometimes you just can't go anywhere, because what it is.
Right, if you went anywhere,
to your board or to your members, or
your
to
share
staff,
price would tank like that.
Yeah. I have a guy.
Confident? Yeah.
I have a guy.
I
have a guy.
This is good.
He's actually coming to speak at our next mastermind. I'm bringing out to the mastermind.
Cool.
To just like, okay, watch this, guys. Like, watch this dude right here, and he will just run like mind tricks on you, dude.
Nice.
Captivating. Anyways, all right, bro.
Excellent.
I gotta get out of here. I got again meetings and food.
Yeah, I mean, I heard barbecues on.
It's on the agenda.
Yes.
It's in my calendar right here.
You need
barbecue.
to make that happen.
Yeah.
Stuff
So
my
dude, I'm
face.
going to get you back on the show.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
We'll talk more. I think I just actually want to talk more life with you. Not many people go this direction on the show with me, and I freaking love doing it, man.
Yeah.
So we'll get you back on the show. You guys that are watching, man, I hope you enjoyed the Money Is Show with Abi Gohar. If you want to know more about him, which we didn't even get to, go to his website, abigohar.com, and also go ahead and just give him the Meridian 84.
Meridian84.com.
That's the private equity side of it.
Yep.
Just so you guys have it. We'll put it on the show notes as well. Hit him up. Your main social media platform is LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, check it out. I like Instagram, but I'm super active on LinkedIn.
On the LinkedIn jam, right? For the
Absolutely
business
love
stuff.
it. Yep.
And we'll have him back on the show again. Hit him up at abigohar.com. We'll see you next week on the Money Is Show.